All right. Welcome again to the Contractor Conversation Series with Jeffrey Scott. This is a three-part webinar. I'm really excited about today's webinar, Scaling Your Business with Technology and Innovation. Thank you to Landscape Management Magazine for being a sponsor, for promoting the webinar. I also want to thank Greenius as our main sponsor. I want to tell you a little bit about Greenius. They've given me here a few stats to share with you. So over the last 8 years, they have supported 66,000 users of their system yearly. 700,000 videos have been watched, and 11 million exam questions have been answered. They are a training, online training software, I guess you could call it, or an application for training your landscape employees. They are expanding to include more HR tools in the next couple of years, in employee aptitude testing and employee reviews. Let me read a testimonial for you from Nick DiBenedetto, owner of ND Landscape. They're a great landscape company in Boston. He says, I've been using Greenius video training software for about 3 years now. I love it. Keep in mind that it is only as good as the manager is using it, but it is 500% better than anything we had in place before, which was a whole lot of miscellaneous programs that were on again, off again disciplines. And so I truly believe this pays for itself, and it's a systematic approach to training that is easy to administer and very cost effective, a no-brainer. And so thank you, Greenius, for being a sponsor. Also, thank you to LMN, Landscape Estimating and Timesheet Software. LMN has 35,000 users. They are clearly the industry leader in the landscape operational software industry. Last year, in 2017, this is a great stat, all their clients in total created a total of $4.1 billion in landscape estimates. That's just an amazing statistic. And so thank you very much, LMN, for being the sponsor here, a sponsor as well. I have an offer for you. I did this last year. I decided to do it again. And so it's a $1,000 discount or savings offer if you sign up into one of my landscape peer groups, $1,000 savings. One of my guests today is a member. Maybe he'll mention a little bit about that. And so first I was going to do this just in honor of my first webinar that I did, The Power of Women in Landscaping. And then I was just going to invite women own businesses, and I thought that would be reverse discrimination. So I'm opening this up to everybody and anybody. Just email me and I'll tell you more about how it works. So we have 4 great guest speakers here. Mark Bradley from TBG and LMN, Kelly Dowell from Dowco Enterprises, Greg Wildeboer from Whispering Pines Landscaping, and Hunt Davis from Canopy Lawn Care. They will each share with you a very unique story on how they are using technology to innovate, to stay ahead, to even disrupt the marketplace. I know Hunt has a very unique story at the end there. So you're going to want to listen all the way through. And of course, I'll send out the recording afterwards. And with that, I want to introduce Mark Bradley. Mark is the CEO of TBG Enterprises. It's how he got his start. And then he created LMN Software. They're one of the sponsors as well. And so I've invited Mark on to tell us a bit about, how he used technology along the way and how he's using it now to constantly innovate and create that competitive advantage. So Mark, I'd like to welcome you. You might be on mute there.
Yeah, I think I'm off mute here. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to the group today for sure. I can get started here with my presentation. Is my screen?
No, I'm going to make you the presenter in 2 seconds. Did that come over to you?
Yep, just got it. Good.
Okay, so you're now the presenter, it says.
All right.
I haven't done this before, so I hope that's working.
Are you seeing my screen now?
Oh yeah, actually I can see it. Perfect. So, Mark,
Okay.
why don't you start off with a bit of background? I mean, you've got two different businesses. For those that don't know you, give us some history.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my landscape company in 1997, so it's just been 20 years. And I kind of started it like most landscapers, I would say, kind of a pickup truck and a wheelbarrow scenario. Didn't know what I was getting into. Definitely didn't have the business background that I should have to start a business, and felt that I had the work ethic to kind of make up for that. But over the years, I feel like I sort of hit every bump in the road, and one sort of central theme, I guess, to running that business is I was always looking to technology to help control the growth and ultimately run a little smoother operation with ideally a little bit more profit than the industry average. So the business was growing. By 2007, we were doing in around $7 million, so in our 10th year. And I was looking for software, couldn't really find what I was looking for. Had lots of growth problems and all the growing pains that go along with growing as quickly as we did. I knew that I wanted to grow the business beyond where it was, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to build our own software at that point in time. So sort of set aside $300,000 and said, let's build some software, and somehow managed to spend a couple million within a few years. And really kind of along the way decided to build software that would be able to be used by others in the industry. So that's kind of what led us to where we are now. Fast forward, we've started selling the software actually in 2009, and my landscape company continued to grow. And I really expanded the software to kind of support that growth over the years. And obviously, after starting to sell it with so many great customers, with so many great ideas, we could just continue to put those ideas to work.
So, if you don't mind sharing, how large is your landscape firm, or how big did it get?
Our peak revenue was just under 50 million. 48 million was our peak revenue. The past few years, I've actually been trying to slow it down a little bit. We were doing a lot of highway construction and large-scale civil work alongside our landscape operations, and I've just been sort of tapering that back. But yeah, that's kind of where we grew to.
It's a great story, because you started out just like everyone else, or many others, of doing backyard landscapes. That's actually how Brickman started, right? Doing residential homes, and they scaled into something, and you've really scaled into something quite large. I know you have a presentation. I'm looking at the screen, and I guess we can see your control panel. Maybe you can move your control panel to the side without turning it off. Hopefully you can, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
all right, so tell us, oh, go ahead, Mark.
Today what I was going to do is just kind of share what technologies we use at TBG and things that have really allowed us, I think, to scale the company up in a way where we were able to minimize the amount of overhead. I've always focused on keeping my overhead really low so that I can compete in a competitive market and ideally make profit where my competition can't. So right now my overhead's hovering around 4%, and And I think the reason we're able to operate with such a low overhead is because we use technology in every area of the business to eliminate middle management. So I just kind of wanted to share different products that we use and just kind of talk about how we use them.
Yeah, perfect.
The big thing I see, traveling and doing as many trade shows as I do, and teaching, the workshops that we teach with LMN, a lot of contractors are petrified of using technology, and not just landscape software like LMN, but just technology in general. Often when we get to know our customers, we really begin to realize that they're not using readily available software to take care of a lot of day-to-day issues. So I just thought I'd kind of talk about how we've kind of adopted software and technology over the years to minimize the day-to-day problems. Yeah, I think there's a big problem in the industry with the labor shortage. I feel like a lot of times business owners are afraid of millennials. They're afraid of this young workforce. And I think with all the technology that exists, the people that are going to be best at using technology and helping bring, a very traditional industry like landscaping into the future are very much the millennials. And I feel like they need some opportunity to work more efficiently to be motivated employees. They really don't like doing things the long way because they realize that there is a better way, and often that involves working with technology. Over the past few years, I've talked about this quite a bit in different presentations that I've given, that I really think that millennials are the answer to the labor shortage. Keeping millennials engaged and really getting millennials to work at their best involves using technology, though, and I do feel that a lot of business owners dismiss their suggestions, and I think that millennials are more likely to move on when they get the feeling that they're sort of stuck in a rut with a business owner who won't change. It's very surprising to be standing in a trade show booth and see so many great employees come into the booth and say, I'd love to get this software going in my company, but the owner doesn't understand. He just doesn't seem to realize that we need this. So it's always amazing when I see that happen, because the first thing that comes to mind, and of course we never hire employees from our customers, but I'm amazed at how many great millennials there are out there who really have it, but the owners just aren't listening. So I'm going to just share sort of a list of products that we use at TBG, and some of them actually we use at LMN as well, but I'll just share with you these products, and hopefully somebody who's listening in can check out some of these products for themselves, and it might fix a problem that exists in your company. But I'll start with a product called Basecamp. It's an online project management and collaboration software. It's app-based and web-based, so whether you're in the office or in the field, you can access all kinds of information, files, documents, pictures, conversations, discussions, anything that might involve a project. So what it really does is create a virtual file for a project where people can sort of collaborate, often pre-construction, when you're trying to get jobs out of the ground. You can include customers if you want. It's a great way to sort of go through checklists and issue tasks and make sure that things have happened before a project starts. We use it a lot on our larger projects, particularly on our commercial projects where there's engineers, clients, sometimes subcontractors, and our internal forces, just to try to keep everybody on the same page. So it really provides that portal for all parties to collaborate and get things done. It's also a great tool if you are trying to implement any continuous improvement programs or any changes in your own company. We definitely use this at TVG to make change in different departments or suggest improvements, ideas, and then to kind of work through those processes. So it's very affordable and easy to access. Dropbox is another one that I think a lot of customers these days are too busy to meet, and whether you're reviewing designs, selecting products, reviewing pictures, sharing files, that kind of stuff, it's very easy to do these things on Dropbox, and I think it really saves a lot of meetings. In our design and build work, we've been able to eliminate more than half of our meetings by sharing documents rather than driving to a customer, sitting down just to review a document in person. I find people are more than willing to share a file, review it, and have a phone call rather than another meeting. And I feel like everybody's too busy to have these countless meetings. So again, great product to store that kind of information, something we use every day in our business. Fleet management software. We run a Caterpillar fleet, and the Caterpillar parts store and mycat.com are two things that we use every day to run our business effectively. We track all of our preventative maintenance as it's being done. We schedule our maintenance on all of our Caterpillar equipment. We order all of our parts online. We get online diagnostics often before there's a problem, and then when there is a problem, we can literally plug into our machine with a laptop and diagnose our own problems and often replace parts and whatnot without ever having to go to a dealer. And of course, we get some incredible costing analysis from this software as well. So one of the big reasons we use Caterpillar is because of their software and their forward-thinking mindset when it comes to providing a customer like us with these tools to run our business. Another product that we use for managing our fleet, more so for our truck fleet, is a software called Fleetio. We power it with Geotab, which isn't an option, but Geotab is basically GPS tracking for all of the locations on all of the trucks, and Fleetio is the software that actually manages our preventative maintenance records, all of our safety records, all of the paperwork and inspections for the fleet, all of the operating costs, fuel consumption, all of our preventative maintenance planning. Everything's held in that software so that in real time we have really good insight into safety and planning as far as inspections and paperwork for registrations and plates and annual inspections and all those good things. So it really helps to keep the fleet in order, because definitely find as a company scales up and you have more equipment, there's much more need for an organizational system for the equipment, or things become hectic pretty quick. Another area that we've really invested heavily in over the past 5 years is in our Trimble grade control systems. As we've started to take on larger projects, commercial work, and even large residential work, we've really found that having really accurate grading plans before we get to the site has a huge impact on our build time, our labor cost, and of course our material cost. So we've equipped our skid steers, some excavators and small dozers with GPS equipment, and we've set our team up with handheld units that allow them to shoot grades very quickly. And then because these drawings that we create are developed through AutoCAD, we can sync those up in the machines. And then when it comes time to actually execute the job, the operators that are operating the machines have a screen in the machine that's basically telling them and actually overtaking the controls to do all of the fine grading. So it really eliminates a lot of labor from the perspective that we don't need spotters on the job sites continuously shooting grades and whatnot. But where we really find the big improvement is the time that it takes to actually set grade and get something completed. Often things that we're taking days are done in hours using this kind of technology, and the rework is just never there. Things are set perfect the first time, and we know it's set perfect because the system is actually doing an as-built as it's building the project. So, and I think at the end of the day, it allows us to scale up faster because our operators need to be good, but they don't need to be amazing. The machine does the work for you. That kind of goes hand in hand with AutoCAD. We use AutoCAD as our design software. We also use SketchUp a little bit. But basically, I really think that AutoCAD has helped us scale our company because it's a very widely used software. Most engineering firms and architects, if not all, are using AutoCAD. And it really allows us to collaborate better with those different groups. And I find if you're using the same software and sort of speaking the same language, if you can bounce drawings back and forth and mark things up, you tend to create a deeper relationship with those folks, and it really leads to a lot more repetitive work. Kind of takes the price sensitivity out of the equation, and really they start to see you as a service or an essential part of their business, beyond just a typical tender build type contractor. It definitely, using AutoCAD allows us to work better with home builders because, again, they're building homes based off of AutoCAD drawings, so we can layer in landscape plans and exterior structural features and things like that much better. I find it helps us in the Trimble world because the files sync up very quickly to our Trimble software, and that allows us to execute and build a lot faster, as I mentioned previously. We can make some changes quick on drawings, and I guess one of the biggest features with AutoCAD is there's a lot of programs for training available around the country. So very easy to train staff and get people using AutoCAD on whatever level needed. And then, of course, there's LMN. That's our software that we created that I was talking about earlier. And really, we created LMN to solve our own company problems at the end of the day. And as we have grown, we've added features and whatnot to LMN as both TBG has needed them, and of course, our thousands of customers have needed different features. So as it stands today, we have a customer relation manager. So that's basically managing everything from the first call right on through to the day-to-day customer service. It syncs with any calendar. You can issue tasks, set meetings, all those good things to keep things organized. And it syncs to email as well, so you can track all the emails for all the various customers and keep them in one place so they're not lost in everybody's inbox. We have full estimating suite with site measuring capability. It's very customizable, so you can kind of bid in whichever manner you prefer. It's got a scheduling and routing component to it that allows you to schedule the work out on a crew by crew basis, kind of a whiteboard design. Very easy to customize and move things around. Schedule maintenance contracts out for the entire year. Really saves a lot of the day-to-day firefighting. So you put a little bit more time in as you set a job up, and then day-to-day your scheduling's complete for the year for all your routine work. Automated invoicing, lots of job costing capabilities. This year we launched job site photos and file storage, which really puts all of the capability on the foreman's hands or the field supervisor's hands to access files, drawings, call before you dig, those types of things. Allows them to take pictures and upload them from the job site so that you've got real-time as-built and before and afters, maybe for snow plowing. A lot of times people need service verification photos, that kind of thing. And then of course we have timekeeping, which is GPS powered, so that you know if people are actually clocking in and out where they say they are. And that all syncs up with QuickBooks for both payroll and invoicing and accounting. So, and of course, free onboarding and support. And our software starts from $199 a month with absolutely no contracts. A free app that we actually give away. So if you're interested, you can get it on Google Play or the Apple App Store. It's 4o'clock4, and often, you know, contractors have problems with just day-to-day accountability. The 4o'clock4, I think, is kind of an instant turnaround for most companies. 4 quick questions. You set up the app as a supervisor, and your staff reports this back to you. So owner may have the foreman coming back to them, or salespeople or designers, whatever that may be. But these 4 questions, I believe, are a game changer for most companies. At the end of the day, basically just simply finding out what the top 3 goals are for the next day, what they got completed today, what's slowing the crew down, and what information they need from you as the owner or supervisor in terms of information, materials, equipment, and labor. Really, just by answering these 4 questions each day, it really stops a lot of the issues around crews saying, I didn't know, or I haven't seen you, or I was going to talk to you later, or I was going to mention this. It really kind of just drives that day-to-day accountability into the hands of the user. Another product that we have is Job Site Watch, which really gives your customers access to your crew locations in real time. So it gives you a unique selling position as a contractor to say to your customer, you're going to see when our crew comes and goes from your property. This is really helpful if you want to sell any work by the hour, time and material type billing. And it's also really helpful for service verification for really large contracts. So the LMN users that are selling this with their contracts are often charging a big premium, and it really helps you kind of get your foot in the door on contracts that really have that high priority level of service, which tends to be higher profit work. Greenius, I think Jeffrey already kind of gave an outline, so I won't spend a lot of time, but online training for landscape crews, I can't say enough about this product. Again, there's a labor shortage. I think people come and go in the landscape industry because we don't train them enough. And I think having online training really gives a company the flexibility to train their staff from a distance and at a much, much higher level of detail than any one company could create. Their courses are outstanding, and it's incredibly affordable for what it is. The last area that I wanted to touch on was just marketing like a professional. I think there's all kinds of opportunity out there to tap into some really simple technology And I think most landscapers really aren't doing that very well. I think the software is easier to use than most people realize, but with Facebook ads, Google ads, and Google Analytics, I think you can drive some really targeted leads and really grow your business effectively at a relatively low cost with an incredible amount of insight using Google Analytics. And then on the website side of things, WordPress has all kinds of outstanding templates. I still see a lot of really weak websites, and I always kind of say your website is going to sell whatever it shows. So at the end of the day, if your work is far nicer than your website, then your number one priority should be to get your website to look as good as your work. And I do think that hiring a professional is a great idea, but there are some great templates out there that you can work with on your own, or if you have some good young tech-minded staff, you can probably develop something that's pretty good on your own as well with templates like WordPress. 99 Designs is a website where you can basically post a design competition if you want to come up with logos or artwork or anything like that. It's incredible how many suggestions you'll get back, and you only pay for the artwork that you pick, but you might have dozens of graphic designers from around the world actually designing for you. And then last, MailChimp. This is basically just what it sounds like, email marketing. But I think email marketing can be used for a lot more things than just direct marketing to new customers. I think when you set up mail lists for your existing customers, like for example, if you're in the snow business and there's an incoming snowstorm and you have all of your snow customers in MailChimp, you can very quickly send them a weather update, send them an update on when your plows are going to go out, what the storm's doing. If there's going to be extended snow through rush hour, you can send an email out to all of your customers in one blast and get that message out. So I think product like MailChimp could be used for a combination of customer service, reselling to your existing customers, and of course also gathering new customers. But these products are all very inexpensive and extremely easy to use, so well worth checking some of these things out if you're not already using them. And last, if anybody's interested, we've got a leader summit coming up in Orlando for 3 days. It's really kind of a collaboration summit. It's going to be lots of best practices from other contractors, just kind of talking about how they've scaled their businesses up and how they've sort of mastered customer service, sales, employee management, culture, all kinds of great topics. So it's really an opportunity for contractors to listen to other contractors, very similar to what we're doing here today. And that's all for me. I had a short while and I don't want to hold up any longer. So thanks for listening to me. And Jeffrey, thanks for having me on the call today. I really appreciate the opportunity. And it's always been great working together. So many of our users are in your peer groups, and the feedback that we get from our customers about Jeffrey's peer groups, it's really unbelievable. So we're continuously recommending those peer groups to anybody that wants to scale their business up or just make some general improvements, because I truly haven't heard any better feedback from anybody than the customers of those feedback or of those peer groups. So thanks for everything, Jeffrey. I'll sign off here and give the screen back to you.
All right, Mark, I appreciate the shout out and for sharing all your technology. I'm gonna I'm going to add a couple things while you're transferring the screen back over to me. So, by the way, for everybody out there, Basecamp, many of the technologies Mark mentioned have been around a while. These aren't experimental. These are tried and true. And so don't think that you're taking a chance by using these. These are really great technologies. By the way, if you like podcasts, I listen to Self-Made Man, and they have the founder of Basecamp. That's one of the softwares Mark mentioned. So you can hear the entrepreneur's story. That's also very inspiring. Mark mentioned his overhead's 4%, right? Which, let me say that again, 4%, very low. Many softwares out there will claim efficiency, but they actually add to your overhead. I know this for a fact. And so LMN, I believe, is one of the few that really reduces your overhead. And Mark is, the proof's in the pudding, and Mark's landscape company is proving that out. So I just wanted to make that point that as well. And lastly, Mark is offering the 4 at 4. It's a free app for daily accountability. I've done a lot of work, not only do I run peer groups, but I do a lot of coaching and consulting. And daily accountability really is the essence of both a profitable business, a more productive professional or employee or owner, and quite frankly, a happier personal life. I believe all revolves around daily accountability. So not only is that app great for your business, but it's great for teaching daily accountability as part of your company culture. And as I said, and as anybody who knows me really personally, and the journeys that I've been on personally as well as professionally, that the ability to own your day, be proactive in your day, to get a handle on your day and what your focus is, really drives everything in life, and not just the business. So that free app is a great place to start. So Mark, thanks a lot again. I want to move on now to Kelly Dowell. Kelly, a quick introduction from me. So I've known Kelly, I don't even know Kelly, 10 years, maybe longer. I've known her dad for that amount of time as well. Kelly's been involved in the green industry forever, in effect. And so I'm really happy to have Kelly on here. I don't know, Kelly, if you're a millennial or not. Maybe you'll tell us that. So yeah, you are. Okay. We can barely hear you there. Can you
hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. So Kelly, welcome, and give us a couple-minute introduction on your background as a millennial.
All right. Well, I am a millennial, and for the past 10 years or so, I worked at Dowco, which is a landscape maintenance company in St. Louis that was started by my dad about 40 years ago. And I did everything there from sales to account management to marketing, scheduling. I mean, you name it, I had my hands in it at a certain point. But last year, I recognized that I had a passion for developing systems and helping small businesses grow. So in November, I took a leap of faith, abandoned my steady paycheck, and went into business for myself. So now I work with landscaping companies all over the US and show them how to use technology to create sales, marketing, and recruiting systems that work for their business. I primarily work with landscape companies because that's who I know and that's who knows me. So thanks for having me, Jeffrey. It's great to be here.
So why don't you jump right in? I know you're going to tell us a bit about technologies that you've used at your own company, Dowco, and at others. So why don't you kick it off?
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to focus primarily on process automation using technology because starting up a business is very easy. There's millions of new lawn care companies popping up in every city with one guy, a truck, and a lawnmower. But soon enough, it gets harder to grow and expand. And in order to grow, you have to have the systems and processes in place that are scalable, repeatable, and reliable. And scalable, Mark just did a great job of that in his leading topic here, to keep your overhead down and increase revenue. And then repeatable, meaning you have to do it over and over again. And reliable, because when you can trust the process that you've established, you are able to live a more free and flexible lifestyle and not be glued to the business 24/7. So I'm going to run through 2 quick examples of how process automation can work in a landscaping business. First through the sales and marketing side, and then second through recruiting and hiring. So first, sales and marketing automation. As we're entering into spring, all of a sudden it feels like the leads are flowing in and it gets overwhelming, and the seasonality of the business is just, it's very overwhelming. I found at Dowco that we would often sell a job because we simply answered the phone, showed up, gave them a quote, and then followed up once or twice. And I really believe that over 90–95% of your competition is just not following up. So if you do nothing else but send 1 or 2 automated emails to check in with leads, your chance to close them goes up tenfold. So first, you got to pick a software to run your automation. I prefer HubSpot because it's an all-in-one sales and marketing automation software program, but there's plenty of other systems out there, and some of the bigger landscape software companies have automation features as well. There's other tools that aren't as pricey as HubSpot, and you can look into Infusionsoft, Ontraport, ActiveCampaign. Zapier is another tool that can help with automation and syncs really well with like Gmail. So one idea I had is creating a process around a new lead requesting a quote. And at Dowco, we had really great success with a series of 3 emails over the course of 1 week to thank the lead for the opportunity, let them know when to expect a quote, and then the second email would explain the benefits of choosing Dowco. And then the third one provided a few testimonials that we pulled from sources like Google, Yelp, Facebook, or HomeAdvisor. And people responded really well to that. After the quote was sent, they then got an automated series of 10 follow-up emails. And all of those, it was really important to have engaging content when you touch base with them, because there's nothing worse than getting an email that's like, hey, just touching base, just touching base. So we put in really good content that had tips for lawn care or whatever service they requested, and helped us close the deal that way. And when all of that's running smoothly, it really eliminates the redundant parts of the sales process and frees up your salespeople to actually manage accounts or do site visits or sell bigger projects. So I do want to caution, though, it's important when you're writing these scripts that you want them to feel personalized and not general. So one thing you can do is segment your list by either services that they requested. So maybe if they only wanted lawn care related quote, then send them things about their lawn versus a landscaping tip. Or another way might be to segment them by commercial or residential. So that way you're saying, you're using the right terminology when you're talking about their property or their yard. Obviously, a commercial account doesn't have a backyard. So any other demographics like that would speak their language, and then develop the automation to be triggered around that. And we also had I call them workflow, that triggered after the lead accepted their proposal. And it was an automation to keep them engaged with Dowco. And we were successful in sending a series of emails over the course of 3 to 6 months after they purchased something with us. The emails that we sent was, the first one was a welcome. It was just an immediate email that they got to thank them for choosing Dowco. The second was a meet the team email sent about 7 days later to give them a description of our staff and who they can expect to see on their property. The third one was a frequently asked questions email that went 10 days later. And this one really helped to reduce calls into the office about things like scheduling requests or what happens in a rain delay or billing questions and how to pay their bill and things like that. The fourth email encouraged them to schedule a site visit. And I don't know about you guys, but I was able to sell pretty much anything if the client was on site with me and I could point something out to them and they saw it, versus going out alone. And we got a tremendous response from this. People thought it was really cool that we were willing to go out with them and walk their property. The fifth email was asking them to refer a friend. And while we didn't hardly get anybody to do this through our website, it was still a good reminder for them to keep speaking about Dowco to their neighbors. And then the last email asked the client to write an online review. And everybody knows the importance of getting good online reviews. And when they're happy with you, if you've done all these other things to make them feel good, we found in most cases that they would do that. So in the end, it makes the client feel really special, and it's a good start to the relationship. And going back to segmenting your list, it's a cool thing to consider that you can get fancy with it and make it different information if they're a residential client versus a subdivision or something like that. Other ideas might be to automate in your sales and marketing processes would be upon completion of a landscaping job. So sending them like watering tips and then following up on how their plants are doing, and an email when your warranty is going up, like either 6 months or a year later. Scheduling reminders for irrigation or aeration. There's a way that using HubSpot, if they visit a page on your website, you can send them targeted emails. So if they went to the lawn mowing page and they're not a lawn mowing client, you can send them a series of 1 or 2 emails that gives them more information. Automating your renewal processes, scheduling appointment reminders, slow pay reminders. So that was another one we did, was setting up a system where if their account was overdue, it was an automated email and it saved from us calling them in the office. So those were some ideas around sales and marketing. And then the next thing would be the biggest challenge for the grain industry now is hiring. And so I found that during this time of year at Dowco, we were hiring a ton of people and bringing in lots of new hires before either H-2B came or maybe we weren't going to get H-2B. So when you're hiring a lot of people at once, it's hard to find time to properly onboard them. And the traditional orientation is flawed because it's not really repeatable, scalable, or reliable. You're paying a highly paid employee to spend hours with a new hire, which is non-billable time. There's no process to ensure that the same content is being shared in each of the orientations. So for example, we had one employee who didn't know where the bathroom was for his entire first week, and he just assumed that we didn't have one because no one showed him where it was. And then you spend all this time with them and you're not even sure if they'll stick around. So I developed an online onboarding orientation process that the new employee can complete either in the office on their first day, on their own smartphone, or at home before they arrive. It was important for us as we considered our target audience, the employee, that his attention span is very limited and most of them don't like to read. So in light of that, we recorded several videos and uploaded them into a free program called Thinkific. And the videos included, the first one was an introduction from my dad, the owner, and it was, I think, 3 to 5 minute video, included the history of the company, the vision for the future, who our target market is, the services we provide, and then how the employee can make a big impact at Dowco. Then we had a couple 10-second welcome clips from key staff members. And then there was the shop tour with a map. So it was basically me following around our production manager who explained some of the safety elements of our building, where to park, where specific tools are located, where to dump debris and things like that. Then we had 3 to 4 training videos on common services that we provided, like mowing, shovel edging, and bed cleanup, and a video of the Dowco differences and why they're important, why we do them on our clients' properties. Then on the orientation, there was a slideshow just done in PowerPoint and uploaded of standard operating procedures. And this is kind of the boring stuff, but everybody has to go over it before the first day. So it was the uniforms that were required, what we provide and what they need to provide on their own, lunch breaks, paychecks, how to ask for time off, what the attendance requirements are, and all those high-level bullet points that you have to go over. Then we gave them access to download all the job descriptions within the company. And that was pretty cool because it gave them a career path and it outlined the potential that they have to grow and move up. And at the end, there was a quiz that covered all the content. So it was about 10 to 15 questions that asked them things that they would know only if they actually went through the orientation. And overall, the process took about 45 minutes to an hour for them to go through it and complete it. And it was required before starting on the first day. So You can either make it mandatory, let them do it in the office before they get started, or maybe consider offering them an incentive to do it at home before the first day. Like you'll start at $13.25 an hour, but upon completion of the quiz, you'll have $13.50. So you'll end up with an educated new hire who's set up for success, has a great first impression of the company, and all that makes them more likely to stick around. So that wraps up a little bit of what I'm doing now currently is building some of these systems for landscape business owners and helping them out. And I do have a little teaser. I have an online course launching at the end of the month called Online Recruiting for the Green Industry. And it's an at-home study course that'll teach you how to enhance your website to attract the best candidates, how to optimize your job postings like on Indeed, Craigslist, and social media, and how to recruit passive job seekers who already have a job without being really sleazy about it. So, Jeffrey, I know you had a couple questions for me, and I'm happy to answer.
I do, and we're going to be out of time here, so I'm going to give you one question here.
Okay.
Then we'll have to move on. And great presentation, by the way. And so my question is, technologies like Mark mentioned and you're mentioning, getting the employee's ability to buy in makes all the difference. And so what's your advice on getting that buy-in?
Getting the buy-in from the employee to do the automation or to do the orientation?
No, to use any of the technologies that you're talking about here. Basically to use technology in their day-to-day.
Yeah. Well, it's important. I think, one of the things that people recognize when you hire or when you onboard a new software or hire somebody like me or even like you is that accountability suddenly becomes very relevant. And we institute a lot of discipline into companies. So the using the technology is only going to be beneficial for the employees because it takes a lot of the heavy lifting off of their shoulders and you let the technology work for you.
All right. Listen, Kelly, I really appreciate you coming online here.
Thanks for having me.
Best of luck. And I understand I might see you tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks very much. I'd like to introduce the next speaker we have, the next guest speaker, Greg Wildeboer. So I met Greg a few years back. He's from Canada, and he came to the U.S. to the landscape show back then called the GIE, which is, I think, like the 8th largest trade show in the United States, out of all trade shows. And really smart for Greg for traveling across the continent to grow his learning. And Greg has I've been coaching him personally, consulting his company, and he's been in one of my peer groups. Awesome guy and very innovative. And so I'm really happy, Greg, to have you on our webinar here.
Excellent. Yes, thanks. Really appreciate being part of it and excited to share some things that we're doing as well. Yeah, as you mentioned, we're across the continent. I'm up in Canada and even more northern than Mark Bradley's Toronto location, but a great place to operate and live, and things are well. I want to, you talk about traveling to learn and grow. Reading is also something that I see great value in, and just want to share a little bit from a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And he does a whole section on technology, and he leaves this summary: technology is used as an accelerator of momentum, not a creator. And I think that's important to know. Mark touches on that as well, where within his business, in order to be efficient and to sort of propel him forward, technology was instrumental in that. And I'd have to say that's sort of our story as well. Having a strong foundation, working with you, Jeffrey, obviously that's been a significant part of it. You need good staff, you need all these important things in place, but technology needs to be instrumental in your business. And I want to talk about technology that we've developed. I want to talk about how we've driven our company to become as paperless as we can, and there's still more steps we want to do, but there's a few things, and I know time is fairly tight, so I'll work through some of the things that we do, and if there's time for a couple questions, we'll throw those in there. But I want to start within our office. Using QuickBooks is our sort of our accounting software. We also are working with LMN extensively, and both are great tools. They interface well together. They're powerful. They can manage time, job costing. Again, all these things can be done with the software, all internally. Again, can be done without even seeing a shred of paper in order to accomplish what you're after. Google Docs is something that our management team works with. Our agendas are in there, our reports, we have sales tracking, company calendar, job scheduling, all live, all available to our management team. And again, extremely powerful for us on the management side. Our staff, Mark also touched on Dropbox. Dropbox is a valuable tool. The staff in the field can access it. We can provide job information. We can drop videos in there, pictures, job notes, anything related to a job can be shared within our Dropbox. A lot of company information is accessible to our staff at any given point, handbook, inspection sheets, anything that they may need in order to be able to do their job and to be able to have information, again, all without using paper. Relationships with vendors and subcontractors, we've worked hard with them. We feel that every bill should be emailed to us. It can be processed internally, processed accurately, quickly. If you get it within the day, then by the next day, while everything's fresh, you can have it signed off on and moved into our accounting side of things, and everything is accurately done. So you're not missing anything, but it's all there for you. So having that relationship, that some of our subcontractors and vendors are a little bit dated in their approach, but we've definitely worked with them in order to get on board, and it definitely allows us to process things efficiently.
So Greg, can I just ask,
yes,
can I just
of course
clarify?
Yeah.
So you've trained all your vendors to send you same day or next day their invoice.
That's correct. Yes.
Wow.
And we're probably 9% the way there. There's few that we need to encourage, but in order for us to get the information to us timely, we can sign off it quickly. The quicker we get it in, the better. Clients as well. Majority of the process is done by email. Estimates are going out. Everything's emailed back to us with regards to contracts and everything related to that process. Our invoices are emailed to them. We are set up with all the major lending institutions in order to receive online payments, and we strongly encourage it. Again, trying to avoid having everything given to them timely, but also to avoid any extra paperwork. But also, our mail system keeps getting slower and less reliable, and to wait on a check, or at least have a client use the excuse to wait for the checks in the mail. We're trying to eliminate that as much as possible. LMN is as Mark mentioned, and he laid out some of the highlights of it. We use it for tracking, for staff tracking. The timesheets are all built within, or they do time management using LMN. So our process is that our staff are using that on a daily basis. At the end of the day, it gets sent over to our operations manager to review the time. He would do it the next morning. It gets pushed over to our QuickBooks. Our controller then processes the pay. The employees receive the pay by direct deposit. An email is sent out with their pay stub, password protected, ROEs are emailed, T4s are all emailed out. They have an opportunity to review the timesheets, which is emailed to them as well. So from the time the person shows up or employee shows up on to do their job, they don't have to touch a piece of paperwork through their whole day with regards to their timesheet and payroll, right to them receiving their final pay. So again, a process that works very well for us, and it's accurate, and we don't have to handle paperwork. So those are the primary things that we do within our office and with our management. In the field, this is where we've also saw a lot of sort of hiccups and challenges. Again, there's a lot of software that we use on a regular basis. We're also using Greenius in order to have our staff trained. Mention LMN is an important part of it. But we also have things like bulk materials. We do salt, so salt management. All these things are things that we used to have staff fill out little pieces of paper, get handed into the office. Then the office would have to enter this into a spreadsheet to track it and allocate it. So we decided that we could create our own software in order to manage this part of our business. So we created a company app that allows our staff to record what material they're taking, how much, put it towards a client, which is syncing up with our accounting. It is also dividing it out by division, because we're running 3 different divisions. So very easily that information can be entered into the app, and then it automatically syncs with our operations dashboard. So that's one part of it. The other part is waste management. We're always bringing materials back to the yard. Same process where we have the staff are able to enter what they're bringing back, how much, applying it to the division and to the client, again, for tracking and for future billing as well. One thing that sharing information, and Mark stressed that with his 4 and 4, you even mentioned that too. We developed a 3 o'clock snapshot, and again, this is something that really early on when you and I worked together, the importance of communication. But we also have a policy where our staff cannot go out to suppliers in order to get materials or whatever. I would find that we would, in the morning, 5 crews would head out. They'd head over to the local supplier. They'd be lined up with 10 other crews, and all trying to get this type of material or that. So what we implemented was a 3 o'clock snapshot, and that provided where they're at, but more importantly, any materials, anything that they may need for the next day. That information would come into the office, and then the operation manager could talk to our suppliers and have everything delivered by the end of the day. So the next morning, our crews could grab whatever they needed and head out the door straight to the job site. So really efficient, but we've simplified it even more for them by creating this 3 o'clock snapshot app and allowing our crews to enter information in a very timely manner. And we have found that to be extremely powerful software. So the other things that we are doing is we create our own truck and equipment management software, really geared towards our own company, having trucks and skid steer excavators, all different pieces of equipment. We created a very simple way for our crews to communicate back to the equipment manager by a simple form within the app that allows them to enter information, and it allows the manager to see where things are at, plan servicing of the equipment, and keep on top of things. So it's really neat software. The exciting part on my end is that my son, who's 16-year-old, has built this whole software, and he's passionate about it. And as a father, I'm extremely proud of what he's accomplished. Now, he did want me to share that that if I outsourced the software, there's no way I could afford it, and that that he should be paid more for what he does. But it is impressive, and I'm excited about what he has done with that. And in the day, how well our company can operate, how we are allowed to scale and grow, but still remain lean and nimble with the software that is out there and we're using, but also stuff that we're developing as well. There you go.
Wow, great. That's awesome. So there's so much we could spend time doing, but I want to bring Hunt Davis on. So I have just one question for you. How has this changed your culture? You basically are becoming paperless in the true sense of the word. Many people talk about it. Very few companies actually are able to pull it off. And so how has it changed your culture, not just with your executives, but with your, the frontline staff? In what positive ways do you see it impacting?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what was always frustrating, and as we were adding more layers, and there's so many layers of sort of paperwork, if you will, that we expect from our staff. The frustration of having to fill this paper out, that paper out, we're demanding this from them, expecting that from them. It's not being accurate, so we'd have to go back to get the information accurate. The frustrations was very high, and so by simplifying the process, allowing them to, we're basically have the two apps, Element app and our own in-house Whispering Pines app. It's very simple for them. The information can get entered within seconds in most cases, and it's accurate. We don't have to go back to them and it wasn't legible or whatever. So the improvement in culture is that they can do their job, they can be productive, and we're not hounding them for proper information or new information, or why did you not do something. So it definitely has been a very positive outcome. Management probably even more so, because they don't have to run after staff for exactly the same things, and the information that we're getting back in is accurate and beneficial and helpful.
So just to summarize what you said, so it allows your managers to have a larger span of control where they can manage more people, equipment, jobs, and it allows your employees to, it kind of gives them not a strict, but a very concrete system to follow, where it's clear for them, and therefore few of them are feeling, micromanaged by you, and they're just able to follow through on what they need to do.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Greg, one last question here. So I've been working with you for a couple of years now, personally, hands-on with, I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm a partner in your company, and you've also been a member of my Leaders Edge peer group. So maybe one thing, how it's changed your life or business for the better?
One thing. In many ways, I think the probably the most significant is empowering my management team. I had a lot of good players in place, but by developing them and allowing them to really shine, has been probably the most significant part of it. It's I can focus on what I'm good at and what I need to do, and I've got a management team that is doing exceptional work and allowing us to grow and take our company to the next level by having everybody in their right spot and doing their job to the best of their ability. It's I think that's been the most significant change, and definitely the results are there.
Thank you, Greg, very much. Appreciate you spending time here with us. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Jeffrey.
So I want to introduce Hunt Davis. Hunt asked me, why am I last? I said, Hunt, because you have a great story. And we are recording this webinar, so if anybody isn't able to be here on the end, you're going to want to hear the story, not only because it's an interesting story, but Hunt is truly disrupting our industry. And so what he's going to share with you is the future, if you will. the evolution of the integration of technology and landscape services. I met Hunt, I don't know, maybe a year ago, year and a half, something like that. He has spoken in my peer group, and just an all-around great guy, really open. So Hunt, welcome to the webinar.
Hey, Jeffrey, thanks so much for having me on this. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words.
Yeah, my pleasure. So you have a great background. A couple minutes. You want to tell everybody the history?
Yeah, certainly. Happy to do so. And I want to try to be respectful of everybody's time. I know we're kind of bumping up against time here, so I'll try to go through mine somewhat quickly here. I think that between you and I, we can be efficient. So anyway, my background. So I grew up in my family's garden center here in North Carolina. I went to engineering school, later got my MBA. I formed 2 tech startups earlier in my career. One was kind of a marketplace style platform, and the other was an e-commerce company. After business school, I went into investment banking, which is kind of a broad term, but I was specifically doing mergers and acquisitions and focused on the engineering and construction industry. So I got to work all over the country and then internationally as well. Started Canopy in 2016 to really reimagine a residential services company, with a specific focus on making it scalable. So everything that we're doing is, excuse me, has scalability in mind. And we chose to start with landscape maintenance. Our goal is to really give customers a better experience through quality, communication, and of course technology. And then our employees a better home through culture, benefits, encouragement, and career opportunities. Operationally, we're a bit different. We have a distributed workforce operating out of Lowe's stores, and we've raised $4 million so far from technology venture capitalists out of New York and California, from Lowe's, Home Improvement, and from some wealthy families. So in the last 2 years, we've grown from 0 to we've got about 75 full-time employees now in 2 geographic markets, the Triangle region of North Carolina and Charlotte, and we're on pace to organically double this year, although there's a few acquisitions that we're working on that could change that significantly. We completed 4 acquisitions last year, so that's a big part of our growth strategy. We're looking to do at least that many this year as well.
So Hunt, I think your story more than anyone's is really a great, it's a great example of integrating technology, not to be like an Uber app, but really to integrate it to just provide better service. You want to share how you're doing that and what that looks like?
Yeah, sure, I'd love to. And you mentioned Uber. A lot of people misunderstand Uber's business model. Uber really didn't create an app to connect you to all the yellow cab companies in your area that are going to fit you in as a rider in between their others. It's not a lead generation platform. Uber, for practical purposes, is a transportation company. They built up their own fulfillment network of Uber drivers in Uber cars. And so there's a lot of companies out there claiming to be the Uber of X, who I think completely misunderstand Uber's business model. But anyway, so your question about technology. So our vision is we focus on operations and we focus on culture, and then we use technology to help make that scalable. And for the most part, we've built our own technology, but then we integrate it with various what we call point solutions for things that have already been done well, things like accounting and marketing and things of that nature. There's some really great solutions out there, so you really don't need to reinvent the wheel. I mean, there have been a lot of great tools mentioned so far by Mark and Kelly and Greg that I think were excellent. And so really the focus should not be on recrafting those, but on how you integrate those tools together. And so we use technology for efficient customer acquisition through remote quoting, so we can quote and sell all of our services remotely in a matter of minutes. And to be clear, we focus on maintenance services. So I know a lot of the big design build jobs could, if you quote and sell that in minutes, you are in trouble. But then we also focus on communication across all communication channels. So phone, email, text messaging, Facebook, Twitter, and in-app chat, as well as transparency to customers through our web app, our notifications to them, and our alerts, and through our after service reports that we text to them after the work's completed, and we request feedback from them after every job, a rating and feedback, and then we use it for scheduling and routing, payments, so on and so forth. There's been plenty of use cases already mentioned on the webinar by others. And then all of our crews in the field have iPads. They have Canopy iPads, with the Canopy app on them, which manages all of their work. It gives the command center here in the office visibility into the work that's going on, manages all customer communication and notifications to the customers, and manages communication among our entire team. So internal communication in real time. So here in the office, we've got our account managers, our ops folks, horticulturalists, technologists, you name it. We have a really great knowledge center here, and so our folks in the field can tap into that as well as each other in real time. So that's been really powerful for us. And then we also use technology. Kelly was making some great points relative to people and training, and so we use technology initially in our Canopy University program, and then through ongoing training as well. There is no substitute for in-person training, for mentorship, but technology can make a lot of that efficient, particularly relative to continuing education and the like. And then on the front end, in terms of you ask any, it's been mentioned I think by everybody on this webinar so far. Labor is something that we all have to solve for, and so we've been able to use tech to efficiently recruit, hire, and then manage our entire team, but especially our field team, with technology. So to make all these processes efficient, we couldn't grow our headcount rapidly without that. And I do want to be clear, as we talk about technology, the old CEO of the investment banking firm that I used to work for, Hank Harris, used to say, software doesn't fix broken processes. You have to fix the process and then enable it with software. And so I do want to caution everybody, software is not a magic solution for all your woes. In fact, it can magnify the problems that you've got. You got to fix the problems and processes, and then use tech to enable it and make it efficient. And I love how Kelly framed that as make it repeatable, scalable, and reliable. And so tech in and of itself doesn't do that, but tech can enable the process that you developed that can do that.
Wow, said a mouthful. So here's a couple things I know about your firm. I want to say them. You can, of course, correct me if I'm wrong. So you do not have a central facility. All your techs work from their own house out to the job, and then via Lowe's for materials.
Well, so sort of. We actually all the crews operate out of the Lowe's stores.
And so they don't check in at a central shop that you have, and that's so you're working in a decentralized manner. So that's correct. Very innovative. Most people think I got to build my big shop in order to build my big company. So you have thrown that on its ear. I love that. We have no warehouse, no shop, no yard, no mechanics, no inventory. Other than what's in our trailers. Yeah, we rely on others for other things. Yeah, that's great. You also, I think you do a week of training you do with every tech you onboard?
Yeah, Canopy University is a 1-week program that we run when they first join, and then we have ongoing programs as well. But Canopy U is a week-long intensive training course with all aspects. We bring in some of our partners to participate in that. SiteOne comes and does a session. John Deere comes and does a session, and some others. And so that's been a really powerful thing for us to really kind of set the stage and to bring them into the fold. People like knowing the full context of what they're doing, and people find dignity and value in their work when they've got the right tools and training and equipment to do their work effectively.
Yeah, too many contractors out there manage to the bottom 20%, and what you're really doing is managing to the top, and you're saying the best employees want and need this.
That's right.
You put that in place. I love that. So how has technology changed your ability to give better customer service?
Great question. That's really the crux of what we do, right? And so, tech, I'll say again, tech in and of itself, is only part of the solution. You've got to develop the processes, the motivation, the vision for customer service that you can use technology to facilitate. So, one of the drums that I beat internally is that we're not a landscape company. We're a communication company that happens to do landscaping. People really, really rely on communication, and that's a big part of customer service and their customer experience. I would say in many cases, it's even more important than quality. Quality coupled with horrible communication can actually have a different result in terms of the customer's perspective than outstanding communication, and quality that isn't as good as the quality with great communication. But anyway, we said, okay, well, how can we measure ourselves? The refrain, what gets measured gets managed. And so how can we measure ourselves on our communication? We can certainly do it through our customer retention and through our ratings and reviews, but what else can we do to have a KPI around this concept of communication and customer service? And so we said, okay, across these 6 channels that we use for customer communication, let's measure our response time. And I want to be clear, I'm essentially assuming that we're responding to 100% of those inbounds. If you're not at 100%, please start with that KPI. But our 24/7 median response time across all 6 of those channels is 20 minutes. So number one, people want to be heard. And so being responsive helps to make them feel heard. And then we also measure our average case resolution time, which is only a few hours. And so that's been powerful for us to measure that, to manage that. And we have team incentives around those things. The customers generally want communication, and they want transparency, which is just like any relationship. I take a lot of lessons from my marriage when I think about our interactions with our customers. It's a relationship like any other, and so tech enables us and our team to make this scalable. One kind of sole provider can provide the experience that we're providing to some degree to a small group of customers, but it really takes technology to scale that up to a larger group on both sides of the equation.
Wow, that's great. So we have a couple minutes left here, or we're probably over time, but still. What do you want the audience to know about your business, the lessons you've learned along the way? What's one lesson you can share with the audience out here as they run their business?
Yeah, great question. I'm glad you went to that and skipped over these couple of others. To me, this is stuff that I'm really passionate about, and so if it's okay, I'll just kind of hit a few here that I jotted down that I just wanted to share. First of all, I'd encourage everybody to question everything that you're doing and figure out if it falls in the bucket of that's how everybody else does it, or the bucket of this is the absolute best way possible for us to do this, and we don't care if anybody else is doing it this way. This is the way that works. Don't fall into group think. Another thought be disciplined in saying no to revenue that distracts you from your mission, whatever that may be. So know where you fall in the growth matrix of same services to new customers or new services to same customers, and whatever distracts you from that strategy that you decide on, say no to everything else. It's gonna distract you and impede you from achieving your goals. And then I wanna hit on lastly here, culture. Which isn't what we're talking about here, but it's so important to us here at Canopy. I just want to say culture is really created by who you are and who you hire. And this feeds into, one of your questions that someone talked about here is the adoption of technology. And I would say cultural elements of that are really critical. So it's created by who you are and who you hire, and assess your culture. And if it's not where you want it to be, identify the problem and fix it immediately, and know that it might be you. So if your company is having trouble with adoption of technology, ask yourself, am I using this? How am I speaking about this technology to my staff and team? What wrapper am I putting around the communication and the visibility of this? So anyway, that's kind of my final point, and I'm happy to connect with anybody. I'm on LinkedIn. If anybody wants to connect and talk more about any of this, I'm more than happy to do so.
Hunt, I really appreciate it. I just want to make a final thought point.
Sure.
Not about you, but about your company, but I think your company's a great example. So if you think about Amazon, why do we love Amazon? I mean, I like it because it's easy, it's quick, it's instantaneous. I can do it any time of the day. There's a trustworthiness built into their review system. And I think if Jeff Bezos has his way, he would gladly take over our entire industry. I'm talking about every person out there. And he has been experimenting with selling services. I mean, right now, he's having luck probably more with, put together the swing set I just bought from you, but I'm sure it's part of his bigger plan. And so it's your ability, I'm speaking to everybody, to be as fast and easy and reliable as you can. And I think that's what Hunt has done with Canopy Lawn Care, where he's made it super fast, super easy. I'm sure when somebody uses you, how could they ever not want to keep using you, right? Tell me just a little bit more about how you see that and how you're implementing that.
Yeah, great question. Amazon is a really interesting company to watch and to think about. And as you think about customers' expectations are being shaped by Amazon. It doesn't matter that they're selling products on the internet and we're selling real world services that are delivered at their home. It's the same expectation as a consumer, and then that also bleeds over into commercial as well. I mean, it's just a person that is hiring you at a commercial property as well. So the changing customer expectations around convenience, ways to purchase, transparency into the entire process, methods of being able to get in touch with you, it has changed dramatically, and it is changing very rapidly. I think that a while ago, people were able to kind of contextualize, if I want to buy this electronic device on the internet, I'm going to have this experience. If I want to buy, lawn mowing service, I'm going to have this experience. And they were able to kind of separate the two. But I think that as time goes by, the two become one. People just have an expectation of how they purchase and how they interact with the companies that they're a customer of. And so that is a really powerful concept. There will never, ever be a replacement for those of us who have the people to perform the services So no website will ever replace us, you know, as landscape companies. But we have to be very careful about the experience that we're providing, you know, vis-a-vis our competitors.
You know, one reason personally, I never liked working for builders. Now, some people do it and make money, but it didn't work for my business. We had the expression, if you own the client relationship, you own the margin. And so that's what Amazon's doing. They're owning the client relationship. And so I think you're doing a good job of getting ahead of the curve on that and being able to provide such a fast, reliable, easy interaction that, you know, the client wants to have the relationship with you and your company. And I think everybody out there has to really take a lesson from and, you know, making speed their friend and part of their MO in order to stay ahead of the curve here. What are your thoughts on that? And then as a final thought, what do you think?
As a final thought, what do I think? Yeah, no, I agree with your comments. I do. I think that we've got to all be in sort of constant evolution mode. You know, Amazon, the services that they sell are really related, as you pointed out, to the products that they are selling, which is also what you find as the big box stores, Lowe's and Home Depot and others, are selling services. You know, all of their services are related to the products that they're selling. So, you know, I don't think that that's going to change dramatically in the near term, but it will definitely change over the long term. And there's just a question mark of how rapidly that changes. So, but again, there's no replacement for having the people who do the work. Our company, yes, we have IP and technology and blah, 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 but the reality is our company goes home every night, right? Like, our assets are the people that work at this company, and there will never be a replacement for that. So any of these kind of tech startups that are they're focused on the tech, and they're trying to be a marketplace for landscape companies, you know, without the labor and without the end-to-end experience and the control of that, you know, there's not going to be, the winner is obvious. So.
No. Hunt, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Jeffrey. This is great.
I appreciate it very, very much. So I want to close here. I'm just going to throw a couple slides up here. Reminder, February is a savings month with me. If you want to join one of my peer groups, email me and I'll send you information on it. And you can save $1,000 on that. The webinar next week, it's our third in our 3-part series, Developing Division and Profit Center Leaders. We have companies ranging up to $50 million companies talking about, or actually larger than that, what am I saying? So we have small, medium, and really large companies, leaders that will be talking about how they develop division and profit center leaders. That will be next week. I want to thank everybody for Mark, Kelly, Greg, and Hunt volunteering your time, sharing your wisdom, and I want to wish everyone out there in webinar land good luck. Apply these ideas. Email me if you have a question, and we will talk to you next week. Thank you.